Hello and welcome to Rudskogen in Norway. This is one of Northern Europe's most spectacular and biggest racetracks, and the perfect backdrop for today's very special guest. For the first time outside of China, this is the brand new Xpeng P7. It is the second flagship car from relatively new car manufacturer Xpeng, founded in 2014. Now, while elegant and minimalistic on the outside, it will exceed your wildest high-tech imaginations. We'll get back to that shortly, but first let me introduce myself. I'm Molly Pettit. I'm a broadcast journalist in motorsport. I've been racing myself for many years, and I just love the feeling of pure happiness that I get from driving a car. That's what I'm going to try out today on this racetrack. And it's not a racing car, I know that, but we will try out its different functions and see how it works. After seeing the car, your thoughts might be, yes, it is minimalistic and it is an elegant car, and that is not down to chance. A lot of work has been put into making the Xpeng P7 look the way it does. Now, Xpeng, like I mentioned, is a relatively new car manufacturer founded in 2014. Over 3,500 people work there, half of which work in development and research, and half of them again work with IT. So this is basically a computer with wheels. At least that's my opinion. Anyway, at the front here you can see the aerodynamical design. Now, this car can go 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds, and just this model here has 430 brake horsepower. A nice touch at the front here with the light panel. Now, this light panel isn't just lights. It can play music and it can create a nice light show. If we move around to the side, this is something that's a bit important to me, of course, the wheels. Here you have 19-inch wheels. Black, look good with the car. Match part of the colour scheme that's going on here. Behind there again, we have Brembo brakes, fairly big ones as well. And then there's a double wishbone suspension system, which we'll put to the test when we drive the car a bit later on. Moving further back, this is also a nice touch. This is the door handle, which is incorporated into the chassis. You just press here to open. And then we'll move further back to what I would say is my favourite part of the car. When I stand here and look at it, I think the lines look great. Yeah, and I just like the way it looks from this angle. Perhaps you agree. There's also a nice light panel here at the back, and the black skirts around the car continue here, giving it a nice sporty look. So around the back of the car here, you can probably see these sensors, and you're thinking, well, all cars have them. Yes, that is true, but this car has something called X-Pilot 3.0, level 3 of autonomous driving, meaning that there are 31 different sensors all around the car, also including radars and cameras. Now, this means that it can see 200 meters in front of the car through thick fog. And you can also leave the car when you go to the shopping centre, and it will park itself without you actually sitting in the seat. Let's have a little look inside the back of the car. This particular model has red leather seats. And we'll get in. So first, it's comfortable. The leather seats are good to sit in. There's plenty of leg room. Of course, I've been sitting in the front here, so I'm 168 centimeters tall, but I think it is quite spacious, and there's quite a lot of room up to the roof. And it's great glass roof above here, so I'm sure the driving experience for those in the back is as good as for those in the front. Now, one thing I'm noticing straight away is, of course, the DIN audio speakers. There's a big one here in the door, and then there's a smaller one here, and then there's also one up in the roof. Yeah, it says DIN audio here as well. And looking at the front seat, I can see the DIN audio logo here, meaning that there are also speakers in that seat. So I've made it into my favourite place, the driver's seat. Now, the first thing I feel here is that it's a minimalistic environment in here. It's a bit like the outside of the car. A big screen to my right here, because There is so much technology going into this car. Everything is unfortunately in Chinese, so I can't understand it, but I can see just by looking at the screen that there is just a world of possibility as to what you can do with this car. Now, one of the other things I can see is that on the driver's door there is another DIN audio speaker. There are 18 speakers total inside the car, and Xpeng themselves, they say it's a concert experience when you start playing music. You also have lights that play along with the music, and the lights also are controlled by things like the air conditioning, so it's pretty fancy. Now, when it comes to sitting right, there's electric seat adjusters here. So I'll just make sure that all that is in the correct position. As we are on a track and I'm going to test the car here, I like to sit properly, which means quite a straight back. Everything feels quite good, quite comfortable. I like the steering wheel. There's not a lot of buttons here. It's pretty straightforward. And here, of course, you have the lever to either drive, park, reverse or neutral. So other than that, there's no other buttons. Everything happens on the screen. So that's enough talking, isn't it? Let's drive it. Okay, so welcome to the inside of the Xpeng P7. We are now out on the racetrack and we are going to put it to the test of the words of Xpeng themselves, that it is designed to compete with super sports cars. Now, the weather is slightly damp, so the track is sort of dry, damp in places, and we are going to find out just how it handles. Now, the first thing I want to do is, of course, a standing start on the long straight here. So let's give it a go. Ooh, and it is very, very quick off the line. 0 to 100 in about 4.3 seconds is very quick. Now, the P7 is jointly developed with engineers from Porsche, which is part of the reason why it is designed to compete with super sports cars. And I have to say, in the first couple of corners, it is incredibly stable and it is very fast. Woo. So plenty of fun so far. We're getting down the hill here into a long right-hander. Let's lean on it a little bit, see how it feels. So far so good. Of course, the P7, or this model that I'm driving, is a four-wheel drive, and the P7 has a dual engine, and they separately control the front and the back of the car. Let's try a hard brake. Ooh. The car has been put to the test in 4 different countries, in 8 different places under different conditions. So it's been tested to the maximum. Whoa! That was a combination of a bit too much speed and hot brakes, but putting it to the test, aren't we? So the car weighs 2.2 tons, quite a heavy car, but I do feel that it handles well. And of course, the weight distribution in the car is at a low point in the car, which is also very positive. Down here to another corner. It doesn't feel as heavy as it is. You know, it's so quick from the bottom that it just responds to when I press the throttle. So I really don't have that sensation that it is that heavy, which is probably what they wanted to achieve as well. But I have to say, the handling is quite impressive. So if you feel like taking your Xpeng P7 to the racetrack, I don't see any problems with that at all. We have a bit of a slippery track here, which is kind of good because that means that we can really try out the handling, see how the suspension is working. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun already. Okay, we're going to try and brake here. Hard brake. Yeah, the brakes work. The car has a system called X Smart, which continuously updates itself via mobile satellite, so that you will always sort of have top notch of what you need for the car, always up to date. And an example of that is that when the coronavirus breakout came, there was a program sent out to this car which would heat up the cockpit to 60 degrees, killing the virus, and then cool down again. And I just think that is very futuristic and a really good idea, that whatever happens around the world, the car follows, you know, and does what it can. So you will always sort of have access to different kinds of updates and all sorts of apps. So all the apps that you're used to, you can get into the car, and it will kind of never go out of date, will it? I've now taken the P7 out to a big open area on tarmac to do an acceleration and brake test. The surface is fairly damp, and this is not an official test, this is more just to get a feeling of the acceleration and the braking. Up to about 100 kilometers an hour, I will perform an emergency brake just to see how it performs. So let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, it is so quick. Up to the point of full brake. And I just held my breath for about 4 seconds there. But it is just incredible. 0 to 100 in around 4.3 seconds. I'm sure it was a little bit longer now just because we started on a damp surface, but just incredible acceleration. I mean, it is so much fun. And of course, the braking, the emergency brake was smooth, it was stable, and I'm very impressed. So thumbs up. So I've completed my test of the Xpeng P7, and as you can probably see, we are in Norway and the weather has changed quite a lot. The sun is out, and my test has, for the most part, been in damp conditions. And I have to say that I'm overall really impressed by this car. Everything from the appearance, which I find very elegant, futuristic, simple as well, and then over to the track driving, which for me was probably the best part. It is a heavy car, 2.2 tons, but the speed and the stability and the control of the car, even in damp conditions, was very impressive. And over to the inside of the car, I found it minimalistic, easy to understand, even though most things were in Chinese. So I look forward to also seeing that in English. But overall, thumbs up.